In 1967, a young woman stepped off a Greyhound bus in Nashville with just $20 and a stack of songs nobody wanted. She faced mockery for a high-pitched voice, her big blonde hair, and her accent. Executives doubted she had a future in country music, but that young woman, born in a one-room cabin in the Smoky Mountains, would go on to build a music empire worth hundreds of millions, pen over 3,000 songs, and become one of the most beloved figures in American culture. She would give the world classics like Jolene, I Will Always Love You, and 9 to 5, transforming personal struggle into global triumph. Yet behind her sparkling rhinestones, larger-than-life smile, and iconic voice lies a story of poverty, rejection, creative battles, and emotional scars that fame alone could never erase. Born into poverty, a childhood of hardship, Dolly Parton entered the world on January 19, 1946, in a one-room cabin in Locust Ridge, Tennessee, deep in the Smoky Mountains. She was the fourth of 12 children, growing up in crushing poverty. Her father labored as a sharecropper and construction worker, his hands cracked and bleeding from back-breaking work, while her mother sang lullabies to fill empty stomachs. The cabin had no electricity, no running water, and offered little protection from freezing winters. 12 children slept in cramped beds beneath patched quilts, breathing in cold drafts that turned their breath visible at night. Hunger and hardship were constants. But alongside deprivation, Dolly discovered an unexpected richness. Music, her family's songs, old Appalachian ballads, and gospel hymns became a lifeline. Even in the harshest conditions, she absorbed melodies and lyrics, planting the seeds of a future where her voice would carry her far beyond the mountains that confined her. The pain of being different, schoolyard, humiliation. Growing up poor came with humiliation that cut as deeply as hunger. At school, Dolly was the girl whispered about, the one in homemade dresses stitched from rags, her toes peeking through worn shoes. Classmates mocked her relentlessly, labeling her trash and excluding her from activities, while teachers offered little comfort. The sting of poverty was compounded by the social shame of being different. Every glance at store-bought dresses, every whispered insult, reinforced her sense of being an outsider. Yet music offered refuge. In melodies, she found freedom. In songwriting, she found self-expression. These early wounds, painful and personal, would shape her resilience. Instead of crushing her spirit, they forged a determination to rise above circumstances. Music became her currency and her escape. A force so powerful, it would later carry her to the stages of Nashville and beyond, transforming a life of ridicule into a legacy of inspiration. A voice too big for the mountains. The Parton family's household thrived on song, despite the scarcity of food. Dolly's grandfather, a Pentecostal preacher, led spirited services filled with gospel, and her mother sang as she worked. By age 7, Dolly was writing lyrics on scraps of paper, and by 10, she performed on local radio stations in Knoxville. At 13, she debuted at the Grand Ole Opry in a homemade dress, trembling but unwavering. Applause surrounded her, yet poverty still loomed. Nights often consisted of cornbread and beans, and her father's weary figure at the dinner table reminded her of the family's relentless struggle. She loved her family deeply, but knew staying meant remaining trapped in hardship. Music became more than a passion, it was a lifeline. Dolly vowed to escape the mountains, her small voice destined to grow into one that could be heard far beyond the Appalachian hills. The seeds of ambition were planted, fueled by talent and necessity. The move to Nashville, dreams confront reality. After high school graduation in 1964, Dolly left the mountains with a cardboard suitcase, a guitar, and $20. Nashville represented both hope and peril. She arrived believing talent would open doors, but the city was a place where dreams were often devoured. Dolly rented a cramped, roach-infested apartment and survived on stolen ketchup packets, crackers, and any free meal she could find. Rejection became routine. She knocked on doors at record labels, publishing houses, and radio stations only to hear her voice dismissed as too high, her accent too rural, her appearance too flashy. "You're too country for country music," she was told repeatedly. The echoes of childhood humiliation returned, testing her resolve. Hunger, both physical and emotional, followed her relentlessly. Yet through the struggle, Dolly refused to surrender. Every no became fuel, and her songs became her secret weapon, quietly shaping a career that would one day rewrite the rules of the music industry. First, success and its chains. Monument Records. In 1966, Monument Records offered Dolly a contract, a first glimmer of opportunity. It wasn't ideal. Low pay and restrictive terms stripped her of creative control. But it was a start. Her debut single, Dumb Blonde, released in 1967, reached number 24 on the country charts. For the first time, audiences heard her name. Yet success brought complications. Monument sought to transform her into a pop figure, erasing the mountain identity that defined her. She recorded songs she didn't believe in and posed for photographs that made her feel like a product rather than an artist. Exploitative contracts ensured that financial reward lagged behind effort. Despite recognition, Dolly continued to scrape by, haunted by the fragility of her dreams. Her resilience deepened, shaped by the lessons of early hardship. Even as her name climbed the charts, she understood that survival required both talent and courage in the face of industry constraints. The song that set her 3 years of creative suppression did not break Dolly's spirit. Alone in her apartment, she wrote late into the night, pouring her pain into songs Porter would never hear. Among them was I Will Always Love You, a farewell to the partnership that had both elevated and trapped her. In 1974, she summoned the courage to leave. With guitar in hand, she sang the song for Porter, who listened silently, moved to tears. He agreed to release her, but freedom came at a cost. Dolly paid a settlement to regain control of her career, making sacrifices that tested her resolve. Yet the act marked a turning point. The song's success validated her decision, signaling that authenticity would triumph over convenience. Dolly's reclamation of her voice was more than professional. It was personal, a declaration of independence that would define the next stage of her career. Rebirth and global triumph. Following her split with Porter Wagoner, Dolly's career skyrocketed. I Will Always Love You topped the country charts in 1974, revealing not just a breakup story, but a woman reclaiming agency. She released a succession of iconic songs, Jolene, 1973, with its haunting narrative, Here You Come Again, 1977, crossing over to pop audiences, and 9 to 5, 1980, an anthem for working Americans, featured in her film of the same name alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. These songs secured chart dominance, critical acclaim, and cultural resonance. Dolly's voice became synonymous with resilience, storytelling, and authenticity. Her art communicated universal truths while remaining deeply personal, allowing audiences worldwide to connect with her journey from poverty to prominence. Triumph, however, did not erase the wounds of her past, but it amplified her platform to share joy, strength, and the stories of ordinary lives. Building an empire, Dollywood, and ownership. By the 1980s, Dolly expanded her influence beyond music. She launched a production company, gaining control over her image, music, and business affairs. She became one of the first female country artists to own her masters, a move that would later generate immense wealth. Yet her boldest venture was Dollywood, a theme park near her childhood home, opened in 1986. Critics dismissed it as vanity, but Dolly understood its deeper purpose: to connect people with her story, the magic of the Smoky Mountains, and the resilience embedded in her life. Dollywood became a thriving attraction, employing thousands and celebrating regional culture. Through it, Dolly created a tangible legacy of generosity, entrepreneurship, and pride. Her empire demonstrated that success could coexist with humility, philanthropy, and authenticity, proving that dreams rooted in personal history could flourish into enduring institutions. Love and loneliness, marriage in the shadows. At the heart of Dolly's private life was a paradox: fame on one hand, profound solitude on the other. In 1966, she married Carl Thomas Dean, a private man running an asphalt business who shunned public attention. Over 5 decades, he rarely appeared alongside her, maintaining a life apart from the spotlight. To outsiders, their marriage seemed distant, almost invisible, yet Dolly considered him her anchor, her rock. The realities of touring and performing meant long absences, phone calls, and brief reunions. The emotional cost of her career was significant, yet she embraced it willingly, recognizing that her ambitions required sacrifice. Her love for Carl endured, a quiet testament to commitment and partnership, existing alongside her public persona of glamour, energy, and exuberance. In this duality, she balanced extraordinary public life with intimate personal devotion. Legacy, turning pain into power. Dolly Parton's journey is a testament to resilience, creativity, and courage. From a barefoot girl in a one-room cabin to a global icon, she turned rejection into opportunity, poverty into artistry, and adversity into triumph. Her songs continue to inspire, her business ventures empower, and her story provides a roadmap for perseverance. Yet perhaps her most profound achievement is proving that wounds, scars, and struggle can become the foundation for extraordinary life. Dolly's legacy transcends music or wealth. It is the embodiment of hope, showing that authenticity, determination, and heart can overcome even the deepest challenges. In every note she sings, every word she writes, and every act of generosity she performs, she carries forward the truth that resilience can transform pain into enduring power. Conclusion: a life beyond the spotlight. Dolly Parton's story reminds us that success is never accidental. It is forged in struggle, resilience, and relentless pursuit of one's voice. From the mountains of Tennessee to the global stage, she carved a path defined by courage, authenticity, and creativity. Behind rhinestones and sequins lie the scars of childhood hunger, rejection, and sacrifice. Yet she used them to fuel a career and life of immeasurable impact. Her legacy is not only in the songs, the films, or the theme park, but in the inspiration she offers to anyone who has faced doubt or adversity. Dolly's journey proves that even the smallest beginnings in the humblest of places can give rise to extraordinary lives that leave an indelible mark on the world.